Okay, time to talk about Blade Runner 2049. Going into this movie, I really didn't know anything about it. All I knew was that Ryan Gosling was the main star of this movie and that it seemed like they got Harrison Ford back, but I wasn't 100% sure about it, and I didn't think Ridley Scott was involved with the movie. So, going into it, I had no expectations, but after getting like 20 minutes into it, I have to tell you, I was fairly hooked to it because the way that they were setting up Gosling's character, making it obvious that he's a replicant, but nonetheless you can tell that he does have some feelings in there, even though he tries to argue that he doesn't. And hunting his own kind, that should weigh on his mind, and how it's a totally different feel of the movie, because the original movie, even though they're both set in California, Southern California somewhere, the original movie has a lot more suburbs, dystopian feel, and there are moments like this, but you nonetheless get the idea that it's better, albeit given how it's clear that Gosling is 100% a replicant, he doesn't care as much about these kinds of things, and given how he's regarded not so much more highly, but a more priority than Deckard was in the original movie, he's given some of that stuff. And the little bits that you see in the street crowd, yeah, it doesn't look positive, and yet it's definitely more positive than in the original movie, but who knows about how the class division of this bit of Blade Runner works here, because 30 years have passed since the original. That's an entire generation. A lot could change in a generation. I would know. Like, you saw how much technology has changed while I've been alive. When I was born, the idea of a cell phone was just barely in the market. Look at us now. Right. And then other things to mention. Gosling's relationship with that hologram entity. I can't remember the name of the character, and that's something that I found kind of odd about this movie. There was very little use of names in it that I found kind of interesting. Sure, they call him K or Joe, but, you know, that's pretty generic. But anyone could have played that character, it just happened to be Ryan Gosling, yeah. But that relationship, that was pretty touching, and I was kind of surprised by how much I cared for it. It wasn't, oh my god, this is beautiful, like some people were saying in the comments on YouTube, but it was touching, and I knew that the moment that Chick asked that she be downloaded to the emulator pen device, that yeah, 99% of the time she's going to get killed off here, and she was. So that was a somewhat touching moment, but although they didn't make it over dramatic, but I think that was the point of this movie, because like with the first movie, this is a art movie, but it's totally different art, really, and they're definitely attempting to put it in our faces a lot more with the different billboards and the nudity that they had in here, because I gotta admit, even though the nudity isn't meant to be gratuitous, like with the first movie, just seeing how casual the people were walking around on camera with no clothing on, it kind of got to me, even though, come on, in the last one, when that hologram is walking up to Gosling, that's pretty much the purpose of the hologram. So, like, why am I complaining about it? And then when that replicant comes out of, like, all that ooze and is talking to Jared Leto and his lieutenants, we've seen that kind of thing in other movies. They're just typically PG-13 or go out of the way to not show characters' butts or breasts, because when they did this in The Island, The Matrix, and one other movie that I remembered earlier but can't remember now, they took good lengths to avoid showing people's privates. Now, of course, this is a little bit of the American sensitivity of nudity kind of getting to me, because I wouldn't be too surprised if the director for this movie, like with Ridley Scott, is actually European born, and they're a lot less picky about nudity there, which I kind of wish that we were, not so I can see the parts, just because there's not that much to actually complain about. Just want to point out that little bit of how, yeah, it has affected me, because in all three of those scenes, it's just one character walking from point A to point B, and they've got no clothes on. Same thing with the first movie. It's just one character, and I'm pretty sure that if you add the time up with all the nudity in this movie and last movie, it's almost the same. Mm-hmm. And then Jared Leto's character. I didn't totally get this character, but there was something about him that I did, like how we don't fully know all of his motives, and we don't fully know if he's a replicant or not, because I'm pretty sure that he is blind and does have something built into him that allows him to, like, access data banks or things like that. They never explain exactly what that device is, but is he a full-on replicant? Is he human that is cyborg? Interesting, isn't it? Although his grand plan of trying to find Harrison Ford's child to issue in a new wave of replicants seems kind of just with the planning, especially since he was able to create his own different brand of replicants already. Like, what was the main purpose of him trying to find Harrison Ford's child? Just don't get that. And also, those replicants that are in hiding, their plan to start their own different kind of revolution, again, just don't feel much behind that. Because the last hour of this movie, like, ironically, pretty much all the time that Harrison Ford was on camera, it's when they introduce Harrison Ford that I feel like the movie starts to go down a little bit, because Gosling's story arc I was really into, and how he's in this odd place between replicant feelings, human feelings, who is he loyal to. That was interesting. But then it's revealed that Harrison Ford is still alive, and then he left Rachel and his unborn child, though it seemed like they talked about it and knew that they were being hunted, so he's like, I can leave, take almost all the heat off of you, and all that. That was kind of touching, but it's kind of hard to explain, but the moment he came, I just began losing interest in the movie. Now, that wasn't to say that I wanted his character killed off, because I'm like, this doesn't carry the right kind of vibe of them killing his character off. They might at the very end, but once I got to that point, I go, nah, most likely Harrison's getting out of there. It's Gosling that might not get out of there, especially since it's been revealed that he isn't the kid, because, like, even when he discovered that horse in the furnace, at first I'm like, wait, he's the kid? But then I go, well, no. He said that that's something that's been implanted in his mind. So of course he'd find it, because he knew it was there. That doesn't mean that he's the kid. Sure enough, he wasn't the kid. I'm like, this does not carry the right vibe for him being the kid. Right. So, and like, there's nothing, oh my god, wrong with what happened with Harrison on screen, because the scene where Jared Leto's taunting him with that incorrect version of Rachel because he got the eyes wrong, and then has that little bit suggesting that Deckard is a replicant, though I don't think that this movie works well with the final cuts, because Harrison had that line where he says, "I know what's real," and I think he might have said like one other subtle thing. That to me just indicates that it's more likely that he's human, and Jared Leto's character just believes that he's a replicant, which can work, okay? Exactly how? I'm not going to be able to explain that to you, okay? So please don't ask. But yeah. And then plus, Harrison Ford's talking on the special features for the original movie, he seems to be of the crowd that is either, I'm not going to comment on this issue, or he's human, because he definitely did not say replicants. And given how he said that he was actually okay with the theatrical and international cut of the original movie, minus the voiceovers, yeah. So that's just why I'm of the idea that if this movie exists, you're watching the international cut of this movie. Right, so I wanted to get that out there, but as I said, it wasn't, oh my god, bad. I just felt like this movie lost something when Harrison came back on screen, and then Gosling's realization that the chick with the compromised immune system is Deckard's daughter. I don't totally get all of the jump in logic. Now, I believe that there was a line of dialogue where she said that she programs memories or creates memories for replicants and that kind of a thing. So he concluded most likely that it was her. But if she was the kid, then she was the one that put the oh wait, no, I don't know that necessarily. It could be that she created that memory for somebody else and then gave it to Gosling. Okay, maybe. But then how does that explain when I was 8, my parents had passes, but I took 6. So did Rachel remarry or something? There's that little bit of an issue there. Alright. Anything else to mention? And then I covered all the main characters. That female police chief, not a bad character. Gets on Gosling's toes, ignores us, and then when she's confronted Jared Leto's lieutenant, how she doesn't really do much to stop that character. Well, I think that says something about her, because she knew the moment Jared Leto's lieutenant walked in there that she was going to die. There was nothing that she could do about it, so she just plays it off as normal and accepts her fate. That was a nice scene. It really was. And then that, the end to the movie, how they didn't really show much of Harrison walking in there to see his daughter, and how most of it was just Gosling sitting on the stairs and just relaxing with the snow, knowing that, for now at least, his mission is over. That was actually kind of nice, and I actually did get taken away by the visuals there. Because as I said, this movie is an art movie, but they're not strictly trying to make us think that this is an art movie, and it's a totally different kind of art. Right. So, ultimately, I don't think that this movie was bad, but do I think that this movie was good? Nah, I don't think so. There really wasn't that much reason for it to exist, but it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Oh, no, 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 no. It was better than I thought it would be, that's for sure. Am I going to pick this up? Maybe if I see it for like $7 or something like that, because I've seen the extras package for this movie, just a list, not the actual extras, and it doesn't seem that inviting, to be honest, although maybe those short films could be reasonably interesting because they do seem to bridge part of the gap, and they were released before this movie because one of them features Edward Alms again as Gaff, and it was really nice that they got him back, although I do find it a little odd that he doesn't mention that he pursued Harrison, though he did mention that Deckard was retired, but at the same time, is that retired as in killed, or retired as in, oh, I got no clue where he is? Interesting. Right. So, overall rating for this movie, I'm probably just going to give it 3 out of 5 to be safe, but it's not bad. There's just not too much reason for it to exist. And again, once Harrison appeared on screen, even though they did nothing, oh my god, bad with him, and he seemed to be in to playing the character, because I'm starting to think that when people say that Ford isn't that interested in acting, I think it's more that he just isn't interested in talking about himself or doing various interviews, because the roles I've seen of him lately on screen, he seems fine doing what he's told to do, and is like, I wouldn't keep doing this if I didn't want to, because he's got to be in his late 70s by now. Alright. Okay, so I get the idea that this was a little bit more of a mess compared to the original movie, but I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on this if you decided to stick around, and I'm curious to see how you guys felt about this one, because I don't really know too much about the impact of it, and hoping I can get some enlightenment. So yeah.